As my heir, William now assumes the Scottish titles, which have meant so much to me. He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall.
Alarms didn't.
Did you see the moment the most powerful family in the world swapped leaders in total secret? It did not happen with a big party or a loud announcement on the news. It happened with a quiet look and a heavy piece of jewelry behind very old stone walls. Thousands of people were standing right there, but almost everyone missed the one tiny move that changed the future of England forever. One person is gone, two new people have stepped up, and the person people call the secret queen just did something that proves the old rules are over. You need to see the one photo that the palace tried to keep quiet, because it shows who is really the boss now. Stay with us, because the world changed in just one afternoon without a single trumpet playing. The alarms did not make a sound that day. Usually when something big happens, you hear loud bells or sirens. But this time everything was very, very quiet. Even though it was quiet, something huge was moving. It was the throne. The throne is the special chair where a king or queen sits. Beneath the very old and very tall stone arches of a place called Westminster Abbey, a big change was happening. Catherine and William walked out of the shadows. They did not look like people who were just waiting to be the leaders one day. They did not look like they were still practicing their jobs. They walked out like they were the king and the queen right now. When they stepped into the light, the whole world felt like the ground was moving. It was a very strange feeling. It felt like history was shifting right under everyone's feet. The people who work at the palace are called courtiers. They have very important jobs. When they saw Catherine and William, they froze. They did not move a muscle. They were so surprised. The big crowds of people outside all gasped at the same time. They made a loud sound with their breath because they could not believe what they were seeing. Even the older members of the royal family looked worried. They looked at each other with very tight and nervous faces. They were all thinking the same thing. Was this a secret decision because King Charles was not feeling very well? Was he too sick to be the boss? Was this a smart plan to make the royal family look better to the world? Or was it a very careful and secret plan to hand over all the power to the younger people? Everyone in the country is asking one big question right now. When did the leadership of the family quietly move into new hands? You need to stay with us. This was not a normal day for the royals. It was a day that changed everything forever. Inside that old church, the power was moving from the old way to a new way. History did not make a big, loud roar that day. It did not shout. Instead, it slowly changed like a clock being set to a new time. Inside Westminster Abbey, the ceilings are so tall you can barely see the top. There are big gray stones that have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. The church has seen many kings and many queens come and go. It is a place full of royal memories. On this day, a special prayer called a blessing happened. This prayer felt much heavier than a normal tradition. It felt very serious. This was the same big church where King Charles had been crowned just 2 years ago. Everyone remembers the gold and the music from that day. But now the church was seeing something different. It was not a big show. It was something much more real and much more telling. The Abbey is usually like a big theater where everyone puts on a grand show. But this time the tone changed. The silence between each word felt like it had its own weight. It was like the air was thick with a secret. There were no trumpets playing to say a new king was coming. There was no golden carriage rolling through the streets of London with horses and soldiers. Instead, there were only words. These words were measured. That means they were picked very, very carefully. The big leader of the church is called the Archbishop of Canterbury. He gave a blessing that had a very sharp message. It was a message that was stronger than people first thought. He suggested that the throne was not just something you get because you were born into the family. He said the throne is held up by the people who are ready to carry the hard work. He meant that being the leader is a very heavy burden. This idea landed with a lot of force. It was quiet, but it was very strong. It echoed under the tall roof. This was not just about being the son of a king. It was about being ready. It was about being a good student for many years. It was about being disciplined. Standing under those old stones, William and Catherine did not look like heirs. An heir is someone who is waiting for their turn. They did not look like they were waiting in the wings of a stage. They stood very steady. They looked very sure of themselves. They were right in the middle of everything. The air inside the church felt charged. It was not messy or loud, but it was very tense. Everyone knew that something big was being admitted without being said out loud. Even the people who go to these royal events all the time felt it. They knew a shift was happening. Then came the moment that everyone would talk about for a long time. It was the image that would define the whole day. Catherine stepped forward. She was there to receive a crown. This crown was made by a very famous jewelry company called Garrard and Company. They have been the royal jewelers since the year 1735. That is a very long time ago. The crown was beautiful. It was filled with shiny diamonds and blue stones called sapphires. It also had deep red stones called Burmese rubies. These stones were special. They came from the personal collection of Queen Elizabeth II. She was the queen for a very long time before she died. Using these stones was like a secret message. It was like a thread that connected the past to today. The jewels were not just for looking pretty. They were like little pieces of history that you could hold in your hand. Each stone had its own story from the past. But then, the palace workers told everyone a secret detail. The crown Catherine had that day was not the super heavy one. There is a very big and heavy crown kept in the Tower of London. That one is only for the most important days. What Catherine wore was a lighter version. It was made for special moments like this. It was for moments that are between the old ways and the new ways. It was a symbol of change. Even though it was lighter, it was still very important. She held it for a short time. She did not wave it around or show off. She did not act like she was winning a trophy. She was very calm. She looked like she was thinking about her duty. She looked very serious and very peaceful. William stood right beside her. He looked very strong. He looked like he had made a big decision. Together, they did not look like they were acting. They looked like they were taking on a big responsibility. It felt like they were saying they were ready to lead the country. The people watching inside the church started to understand. This blessing was not just a nice prayer. It was a signal that the team was changing. The words they used were about duty, not just about who was next. The feeling changed from waiting to doing. Outside, the big bells of London rang through the air, but inside, the meaning was quiet and deep. Under the same arches where King Charles had started his time as king, the future of the family was moving. It did not happen because of a new law. It happened because they were ready. It showed that sometimes the job is given to someone long before it is officially said. The church showed this in a religious way, but the true proof was about to happen outside. While the church was full of quiet whispers, something shocking was happening outside at Windsor. What was the moment that made thousands of people believe the crown had changed hands? Stay with us to find out. As the big doors of Westminster Abbey opened, the blessing was finished. But the change was just beginning. It was not a big speech that made everyone notice. It was a single picture. In a place that has hundreds of years of royal tradition, Catherine did something small but very big. She bowed her head to Princess Anne. A bow is when you lean your head down to show respect. It was a very quiet move, but in that tiny exchange, the whole family seemed to rearrange itself. Princess Anne is a very strong and steady woman. She was the one who placed the crown into Catherine's hands. This happened right under the same arches where the king was crowned 2 years ago. Princess Anne did not look unsure. She did not act like she was in a play. She was very careful and very clear. Catherine took the crown not like a prize, but like a job. Her face was very calm. She looked like she understood that this moment was very important. William stood by her side. He looked very serious. He looked straight ahead. He was protective and strong. He knew that history was happening right then and there. In just a few hours, this one photo went all over the world. Every news station played it over and over. People on the internet talked about it for days. One big news group said it was the most important royal picture of the last 10 years. The way the picture looked was very powerful. Princess Anne is known for being the hardest worker in the family. Seeing her give the crown to Catherine was like a big signal. It showed she was helping Catherine. William looked like he was already the boss. They did not look like children waiting for someone to tell them what to do. They looked like they were already the leaders. People all over the world started to debate. Some people wondered if this was a planned show or if it was just bound to happen. Supporters liked the way they looked so confident. Most people in Britain thought the change was a very good idea. Catherine's popularity went up to the highest level in a long time. The people had accepted them as the new leaders. What really surprised the experts was how final it felt. The picture did not look like a practice or a test. It looked like the end of one thing and the start of another. William being there made the picture complete. He did not look like he was hiding in the back. He was right there with her. Together, they showed that the family was staying the same but also moving forward. All over the country, people were talking. They asked, "Is this just a nice moment or is the power already theirs?" Inside the palace, the workers looked at the photo very carefully. To them, it was more than just a picture. It was proof. As the world looked at that one photo, another big moment was coming. This time, it would move from the quiet church to the fresh air outside. Thousands of people were waiting to see the king and queen walking right into the future. But as everyone waited at Windsor, would the next step show a family walking forward? Keep watching to see. The picture from the church was still being shared everywhere when people started looking at a different place. This place was Windsor Castle. It was not as quiet as the church. It was more exciting. There was no big announcement about what was going to happen next. No trumpets played. No one made a big speech. But thousands of people gathered outside the castle anyway. It was like they could feel in their hearts that something new was about to happen. They waited with flowers in their hands. They held the flowers very carefully. Little children sat on their parents' shoulders so they could see. Older couples leaned against the metal fences. Some people had stood in the cold air for many hours. They kept their eyes on the big castle gates. Some people even made their own buttons and badges to wear. The badges said simple things like, "For the future, William and Catherine." These words were not just a slogan. They were what the people really believed. When William and Catherine finally walked out, everything changed instantly. It was not like a loud explosion, but it was very deep. The crowd did not just scream and yell in a messy way. Instead, a big wave of feeling went through everyone. It was a feeling of being happy and being sure. They were not just a prince and princess anymore. The way they walked and the way they stood showed something else. They looked like they were in charge. Catherine wore a pretty gray coat. She was not wearing the light crown anymore. But in people's minds, they could still see it. She walked with a steady pace. She leaned down to take flowers from little children. She stopped to read notes that people gave her. Some of the people were so excited that their hands were shaking. She smiled a very warm smile. She looked right into people's eyes. She was not acting. She was really there with them. William did the same thing. He was very polite and serious. He talked quietly to old soldiers who had served the country. He said thank you to people who helped for free. He looked at people for a long time when he spoke to them. He did not rush. He did not act like he was more important than everyone else. He seemed to understand that this was a very big moment. He knew that every time he shook a hand, the whole world was watching him on the news. Then something happened that was more important than any big speech. An old soldier with shiny medals on his coat stepped forward. He said, "God bless the new queen." Those words were very big. The air felt very still after he said them. Catherine answered him right away. She said, "God bless the king." Her voice was very kind. This was a simple answer, but it showed that they were a team. It showed they were working together. People who were there said this was the moment everything changed for them. The way people saw the royals changed right then and there. It did not feel like a fake show to make people stop worrying. It felt like real leaders stepping into the light. The crowd was not confused. They were happy. They held up their phones to take pictures. But then many people put their phones down. They wanted to see it with their own eyes, not through a screen. As William and Catherine kept walking, talking to teachers and nurses and families, it was very clear. They were not practicing to be leaders in the future. They were acting like the job was already theirs. They felt very close to the people. There was no big golden carriage. There was no fancy ceremony. It was just two people walking through a crowd of people who were ready to follow them. But while the streets of Windsor were full of happy people, another royal house was very different. Inside Buckingham Palace, things were not so happy. People had a lot of questions about what was happening. While the people at Windsor were cheering, why was it so quiet and nervous inside the palace? Stay with us to find out about the silence at the center of the storm. Sometimes the best way to see that things are changing is to see who is not there. While Windsor was full of warm feelings, people started talking about someone who was missing. During the big prayer at the church and the walk at Windsor, one person was not there. That person was Queen Camilla. This was a very big moment that felt like it could not be changed. But she was not standing with the family. She was not under the stone arches of the church. She did not walk with William and Catherine to meet the people. Instead, the palace said she was at a place called Ray Mill House. They said she was there to think quietly. They said she wanted to be alone for a little bit while King Charles was resting and getting better at another house. On the outside, this sounded like a fine reason. Everyone needs a break sometimes, especially when things are stressful. But the people who know a lot about the royal family had questions. They noticed the timing. The church blessing was a huge deal. The walk at Windsor made everyone think William and Catherine were the new leaders. Camilla was not at either one. People started asking if she chose to stay away or if she was told to stay away. Was she being helpful by letting everyone focus on William and Catherine, or were things happening faster than she thought they would? Inside the palace, things felt a bit nervous. What looked like a smooth change to the public felt much faster to the people working inside. People who know Camilla said her time away was very quiet, but others thought something more complicated was going on. They whispered that history was moving forward and not waiting for anyone. The photo of Princess Anne giving the crown, the happy crowds at Windsor, and how strong William and Catherine looked all made it look like the choice was already made. There was no big fight. No one was yelling, but someone was missing. And in the royal family, being missing can say a lot. At Buckingham Palace, the workers looked at the news stories and the pictures. The story was building itself. For Camilla, being quiet was polite, but it also left a hole. In the royal family, if people do not see you, they might think you do not have power. As William and Catherine stepped forward and talked about their duty, all the attention stayed on them. Some people inside the palace were worried. It was not because of a fight. It was because of how fast everything was moving. There was no new crowning ceremony. No one made a new law, but it felt like the center of the family had moved. The fact that Camilla was gone for 2 big moments made people feel this even more. As the talk got more serious behind the big palace doors, it was clear that this was just the start. While everyone talked about why Camilla was missing, something even bigger was happening inside the palace. The way the whole palace works was starting to change. Was Camilla's absence just a distraction, or was it a sign that the real power had already moved? When the palace started to change how it works, the silence about Queen Camilla was only the beginning. Underneath the surface, something very real was happening. This was not just about how things looked in pictures. It was about how the whole business of the family was run. In a royal family, the way things are organized shows who is really the boss. Just a few days after the church prayer and the Windsor Walk, the way people reported to their bosses started to change. Teams that used to work for King Charles and Camilla started getting their orders from William and Catherine's office at Kensington Palace. The people who talked to the news were moved around. Important workers were given new jobs. What used to be shared by everyone now seemed to be run by William and Catherine. The palace workers said these changes were just for a short time. They said it was just because King Charles was still getting better. But people who have watched the royals for a long time knew what was really happening. In the palace, you do not change how the teams work unless you are planning to change who is in charge. The changes did not stop there. A very important lady named Fiona Shelburne, who was a top worker for Queen Camilla, left her job. People noticed that the timing was very strange. Workers who had always been loyal to the king's old office suddenly had to work for the new office. People who worked there said it felt a bit confusing. It was not a big mess, but you could tell the ground was moving. All during this time, Princess Anne was there to help. She visited King Charles twice in 1 week. She brought him news and made sure everyone was staying together as a team. People say she was the one who helped make things clear. One story says she told the king something very simple and strong. She said, "They are prepared." That means they are ready. This phrase went all around the palace. Prepared. It did not mean they were just practicing. It meant they were ready to do the job right now. It meant what the people saw on TV was not a mistake. It was the plan. Inside Buckingham Palace, the talk became very serious. They saw that 84% of people liked what was happening. They saw how popular Catherine was. The whole world was reacting to the church picture. Power was not being shouted from the rooftops. It was being practiced every day. Experts started using a big phrase, constitutional earthquake. This means a huge change in how things are run. It was not because the laws changed. It was because the power was moving to new people without making a big fuss. William started leading very important meetings. Catherine was doing more and more work. It did not feel like an emergency. It felt like a change that was already done. It was hard to say that this was just a break. It looked like a total shift. Even if their titles were still the same, it looked like William and Catherine were the ones running the show. Power was moving slowly but surely. Then Catherine did something that showed the world this change was not just happening inside the palace. It was happening everywhere. How did Catherine turn quiet palace changes into a big public sign of power? She showed that she had the quiet command of a queen. As the power moved behind the scenes, Catherine started to act with a quiet strength. She did not wait for a big party or a special announcement to show she was a leader. She showed it by what she did every day. From the meetings she went to the way she walked, she showed she was in charge. Her office at Kensington Palace became a place for real work, not just for show. One of the first things she did was have a lunch with young leaders from many different countries. These people are called ambassadors. Catherine did not do this just to look good. She did it to talk about important things. She talked about school, new ideas, and helping young people be leaders. She listened very carefully to every person there. She gave them advice and made them feel brave. There were no fancy gold carriages or special robes, but you could feel that she was the boss in the room just by being there. Every move she made, from listening quietly to being kind, showed a message. It showed that a leader can be quiet and thoughtful but still very strong. She also did work that was not on the official schedule. Right after the church blessing, she went to visit a hospital for very sick people. She did not tell the news she was going. The families and workers were very surprised to see her. Catherine spent time with the patients. She was very kind and calm. She helped people feel better just by being there. She did not do it for a photo. She did it because she felt it was her duty. She showed everyone that the royal family can help in real ways, even without a big parade. Catherine also worked with Princess Anne. They led a big meeting for young people together. This showed that Catherine was a good partner in the family. She was learning and leading at the same time. Princess Anne was like a teacher to her. This showed that the family was changing to fit the modern world. They were focusing on school, helping people, and being responsible. Because of these actions, Catherine's presence became a way of leading. She was careful and on purpose. She did not try to get her name in the newspapers. Her power was shown in her hard work and her calm face. People could feel it. She was like a queen in practice, but she was already doing the work. She was building trust with the people. While Catherine was doing this, William was also changing his job. He was taking on more of the business side of being a leader. Together, they were showing what it looks like to be the new bosses. But what happens when you have a lot of quiet practice instead of a big announcement? Has the power already moved before they are officially called king and queen? While everyone was watching Catherine, William was working hard behind the scenes. He was moving the heartbeat of the monarchy. The cameras only saw a little bit of what he was doing. Inside the rooms where the big decisions are made, he was very busy. He was not just waiting for his turn anymore. He was taking action. He started leading big meetings called the Privy Council. These are very serious meetings about how to run things. He was very steady and focused. Each meeting showed that he could do the job of a leader. He was mixing the old traditions with real, modern work. People started to notice a new style. It was like a double leadership. Catherine and William were working as a team. They helped each other. Catherine did the parts where she met lots of people, and William did the parts where he organized the business. Outside of the big offices, William was also very careful. He went for a walk in the gardens of a place called Sandringham. It was more than just a walk. He was talking to the people and the workers there. People lined up to say hello. They were very happy to see him. One old man who works in the garden gave William a bunch of white flowers. This was a very sweet moment. William took them and said thank you in a very kind way. He showed respect for the past, but also showed he was ready for the future. This short moment showed his style. He is a person who listens and cares about the people who work for him. Even when he was doing public things, William wanted to show that the work is more important than the show. He talked to a group of scouts. He told them, "The best service is the kind you do when no one is watching." This tells us a lot about how he thinks. He believes that being a leader means doing the right thing even if it is not on TV. Every move he made showed he understood the royal family has to change to stay important. He was taking on power without having to tell everyone he was doing it. Together with Catherine, he was showing a new way to rule. They were not being loud or flashy. They were being steady and responsible. And right in the middle of all of this was Princess Anne. She was the one helping them. She was the teacher who made sure every step they took was the right one. She was the secret architect. An architect is someone who draws the plans for a building. Anne was drawing the plans for the new leaders. How did Princess Anne secretly build the plan for William and Catherine to take over? Keep watching to find out. If there was a smart person planning everything behind the scenes, it was Princess Anne. While Catherine was being a calm leader and William was doing the office work, Anne was moving quietly in the background. She made sure everything they did was for a reason. She has been doing royal work for a very long time. She knows all the rules. She became the bridge between the old ways of the past and the new ways of the future. She made sure the family changed without breaking. Anne visited King Charles 2 times. These visits were very private. She wanted to give him advice without anyone else hearing. Her being there showed that the work was still going on. People say she told the king that a leader needs to be brave. She was not just being nice. She was telling him the truth about how things were changing. Anne does not act based on feelings. She acts based on a plan. Every meeting she had was part of that plan. She wanted to make sure that being a royal was about making good decisions, not just about having a famous name. Anne's help was like a race where one person passes a stick to the next person. She was making sure the stick of power was handed over perfectly. She wanted to be sure William and Catherine were ready to not just be famous, but to actually do the hard work of being the bosses. People who saw them together said Anne was very steady. She could see what was happening and keep everyone calm while the power moved. Catherine even said that Anne's help was very important. She said Anne was the one who taught her how to act like a queen. Whether it was a big meeting or a small visit to a hospital, Catherine did what Anne taught her. This team of the teacher and the student allowed Catherine to lead with a clear mind. It showed that the family was not just reacting to things that happened. They were making their own path. Every choice and every visit showed that the power was moving on purpose. It was orderly and smart. It was a mix of old tradition and new strategy. This allowed William and Catherine to do a great job while the people still trusted the family. But even with everything going so well, one big question was still there. What did all of this mean for King Charles? Even as the power moved to his son and daughter-in-law, what was his job now? Could his quietness be a secret plan of his own? The king was not there for the big moments when William and Catherine were stepping up. But he knew exactly what was going on. While he was resting at his house, he watched everything from far away. Even though he was not there, you could still feel his presence. The people who are close to him say he was happy about the changes. He was not just letting it happen. He was saying yes to it in secret. They say he understood that William and Catherine needed to be the new faces of the family. He reportedly said some very beautiful words about it. He said, "Let her shine. Your mother would have liked that." This shows he was okay with Catherine taking a big role. He saw it as a way to keep the family going, not as someone taking his place. Even though he stayed away from the cameras, he used symbols to show he agreed. He went to visit a special oak tree that was planted for him. He left some flowers there. This was a quiet way of saying he respects the history of the family. It was a small move, but it meant a lot. It showed he was still there in spirit. He was letting William and Catherine have more freedom to lead. Every little thing, like where he put the flowers and when he visited the tree, was a way of showing he was in balance with the new leaders. This showed that the power shift was not a fight. It was a plan that everyone agreed on. By staying in the background, Charles allowed the new leaders to get strong. He gave them his blessing in a quiet way. This helped the public feel safe and happy about the change. The lines between the king being away and the king saying yes became very blurry. The royal family was changing, guided by William and Catherine in the front and Charles in the back. It was a very smart way to change. It made sure the family stayed stable while they moved into the future. But the biggest question of all is still here. Has a new era already started, or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? Did the royal family quietly move into a bold new time? Or was that church blessing just a small taste of what is coming next? There was no big party and no giant announcement. But as the people of Britain watched, the family was being put back together in a new way. It feels like the new reign has already begun. All over the country, people are starting to look at William and Catherine as the real leaders. They see them doing the work every day. Their team of two is not just an idea anymore. It is real. Catherine is the kind and visible leader, and William is the steady and strong boss. Together, they are a modern team that still respects the old ways. They are making their own choices and moving forward. The blessing at the church turned out to be very important. It was the moment the power really moved, even without a big crowning show. For many people, this was a bit confusing, but most people liked it. The country is used to big parades, but they changed their minds very fast. People in the streets and people on the internet all seem to agree. They like a leader who actually does things and helps people without waiting for a fancy ceremony. Behind all this, the palace itself is changing. The workers and the plans are all lining up with the new bosses. Every meeting and every visit shows a balance between the old and the new. The royal family is not just a symbol anymore. It is an active group that is helping with modern problems. But underneath all the happy news, the main question is still there. Is this just a temporary change while everyone waits for the official crowning, or has Britain already started a whole new chapter? The answer is not 100% clear yet, even to the people in the palace. But one thing is for sure. The face of the royal family has changed. It did not happen with a big explosion. It happened quietly and carefully. The time of William and Catherine has started to leave its mark on the world. The country is watching a new story begin, and it might change the way the royal family works for a very long time. Think about how many years the royal family has been around. It is a long, long time. They have many rules, but William and Catherine are showing that they can change those rules to fit today. They are talking to people more. They are being more open about their lives. This makes people feel like they know them better. When people feel like they know their leaders, they trust them more. That trust is the most important thing for a king or queen. Without trust, they cannot lead. Catherine has spent years getting ready for this. She has learned how to speak to crowds. She has learned how to handle difficult questions. She has learned how to be a mother and a royal at the same time. People see that hard work and they respect it. William has also grown up a lot. He is not just the young prince anymore. He is a man who is ready to be in charge. He knows that his job is to protect the family and the country. He takes that job very seriously. When you see them together, you can tell they support each other. They are a true partnership. In the old days, the king was the only boss, but now it looks like it will be a king and a queen working together as equals. This is a big change for the monarchy. It shows that they are moving with the times. Even the stones of Westminster Abbey seem to hum with this new energy. The old arches have seen so much, and now they are seeing the start of a new story. The bells of London may ring for many things, but they are ringing for a new era now. The world is watching, and the world likes what it sees. The future of the royal family looks bright and steady. It is a future built on hard work, duty, and love for the country. And it all started with that one quiet afternoon in the church. Think about the specific details of that day. The weather in London was a bit cool, as it often is. The sky was gray, but the hearts of the people were warm. When William and Catherine walked out of the church, the sunlight hit the diamonds on the crown. It looked like thousands of tiny stars were dancing on Catherine's head. People in the crowd held their breath. They knew they were seeing something they would tell their grandchildren about. It was a moment of pure magic, but it was also a moment of real power. You could see it in the way they stood. You could see it in the way they looked at each other. They were not just a couple. They were the center of a nation. The history books will write about this day. They will talk about the blessing. They will talk about the photo with Princess Anne. They will talk about the walk in Windsor. They will say that this was the day the monarchy changed forever. They will say that William and Catherine stepped into their destiny, and they did it with grace and with strength. It is a story of a family growing and changing. It is a story of tradition meeting the modern world. It is a story of a new beginning. As we look to the future, we can see that many more things will change. There will be more meetings. There will be more trips to other countries. There will be more work to do. But William and Catherine have shown that they are ready for it all. They have shown that they have the support of the people. They have the support of the King and Princess Anne. They have everything they need to be successful, and the people of the world are excited to see what they will do next. Every handshake and every smile will be a part of their new reign. Every decision they make will shape the future of the country. It is a big job, but they are the right people for it. They are the new face of the monarchy, and that face is full of hope and kindness. So what do you think? Was William and Catherine's first appearance as King and Queen destiny, strategy, or necessity? Has the monarchy quietly transformed forever? We'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We will be here to tell you more about the amazing story of the royal family. There are so many more secrets to find and so many more stories to tell. Stay with us as we follow the journey of the new king and queen. The world is changing, and we are here to see it all happen. Thank you for being a part of our community. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep watching the news and keep looking for the truth behind the headlines. The story of the royals is just getting started, and it is going to be a wild ride. We can't wait to share it with you. See you in the next video. The future is bright, and the crown is in good hands. The new era has truly begun, and we are all a part of it. Let's see what happens next in this incredible royal adventure. It is a story that will live on for a very, very long time, and it all started with a quiet shift in a very old church, a shift that changed the world. Goodbye for now and stay royal.